The Virtual Boys have been playing Nintendo since they were little. These many years of experience have made them experts in the field, or at least they think so. Join them this week as they talk about going real fast and reminiscing in the Nintendo 64. You're listening to the Virtual Boys podcast by Nintendo City. This podcast is done by four friends that talk about anything and everything Nintendo. Check out our website at nintendocity.com and be sure to follow us on your social network of choice. Please be sure to subscribe and share us with your friends. Oh, and please enjoy our show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Boys Podcast 64, a Nintendo podcast about Nintendo things. This is episode 64. I'm your host, David. Everyone with Super Sonic Racing. And we've got James.
You're too slow.
And Skylar.
Gotta go fast.
And Jordan.
And Knuckles.
Thanks for joining me again today, guys. We'll be talking a lot about some Sonic and Nintendo 64. So, first up is our Sonic Mania review, and then we'll move on to the N64, since this is our 64th episode. We'll talk about the N64 Classic that may or may not come. But before we start, we just want to remind you to check out our Patreon page, because these episodes are going up early as a reward for those that support us. You can check that out at patreon.com/Nintensity. Also, if you want to talk about this episode with us, check out our Discord community at nintendo.city/discord. That's enough of that. Let's jump right into Sonic Mania. So Sonic Mania came out literally on Tuesday in the very early hours, and it's clearly a love song to the Sonic of yore, and it is really good and really fun. All four of us have been playing it quite a bit. Let's just jump into reviewing the game. I haven't played it nearly as much as you three have, so I'll just let one of you guys go ahead and just jump right in.
Sonic's back, baby. Oh, it's so nice. I mean, it's a return to classic formula, which I didn't expect we'd ever see again. They tried back in late 2000s or 2010s, or how do you even say that decade?
I think it's just the 2000s, whatever.
The tens.
The zeros. The zeros.
They tried bringing back Sonic with Sonic the Hedgehog 4, and it was kind of a mess.
Yeah, physics were bad.
The physics were bad. There were too many springs. The level designs were lazy.
Was it episodic? Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, it was episodic, but we only got 2 episodes because everyone just hated it.
Everyone's like, "This is crap."
And so Sega canceled the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
It was in the works. But yeah, so Sonic 4, not a good deal. And then so I guess Sega went to some fans and asked them, "Hey, instead of giving you cease and desist because we're not Nintendo, we actually enjoy our fans. How about you guys come and make a Sonic game for us, since you guys seem to worship the old formula and make really good games about it." And so we got Sonic Mania. It's wonderful.
The engine feels so close to the original. It's crazy.
Really close. Especially, and they had to build it from the ground up to recreate it to be that way.
Yeah.
Because it's now in HD with 16:9, and it's a lot more animated.
Yeah, I heard Christian Whitehead, the main director, was the lead behind making it feel like an original Sonic game.
Yeah,
in that sense.
I also heard that they, way back when, they made a Sonic CD fan port to the smartphones.
Well, yeah. So that's
and then they got
it started on.
Well, yeah, but this Sega told them gave them the cease and desist, and then they come back and on second thought, how about you make it with us? And they had to make that, and then they did all they remade all the Sonic games for the iPhone and everything. Isn't that what they did? So they obviously have that pedigree behind them, and this game, it clearly shows in this game. They may not be the original developers, but they know Sonic it's like the back of their hand.
They probably know Sonic better than any of the original developers anymore at this point.
Yeah,
That's true.
They know Sonic more than Sega.
It may be very true. I mean, if we're looking at some of these recent Sonic games, maybe that kind of got lost in all the developing that these fan developers have had since they played it when they were kids.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play Sonic as much as, well, Jordan, by nearly any amount, I'd say. I mean, I didn't really get to play Sonic until the Game Boy Advance with Sonic Advance 2 and 3. I skipped the first one. I don't know why. And then I didn't get to play the original Sonics until I got them on Wii Virtual Console. And it's so fun to play a Sonic game. I don't know why I haven't been into Sonic before. But I'm really glad that they've come back to this form because it's how I remember Sonic, this whole 2D style, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm having a good time with it. I'm not the most qualified to talk about Sonic, but I do love it.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the very first video game I ever played.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's a big one for me, and I just remember I didn't even know what video games were until I picked up Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And my friend and I, we sat there for days on end just trying to get to the last boss because we sucked at video games when we were like 4 years old.
I think we all did.
Eventually we were able to do it just because one of us would be Tails, and so whenever a boss fight started, one of us would run to like a corner of a screen and try and like hide from damage while Tails did all the work.
Yeah. I mean, I did play Sonic 2. I played it with an old friend. I haven't talked to him in years. I'd go to his house and we would just play Sonic, and I was always Tails, and he would always make me kill the bosses because he never wanted to die. So I know exactly.
Wait, Tails, you're invincible? We gotta abuse this.
Yeah.
Until the last level or two.
Sonic shorts.
Let's talk a little bit about the game itself. We've already talked about the gameplay engine, how it's incredibly similar to the Sega games. Like, how exactly does that feel?
It feels great. I do have a few nitpicks about it, but that's because I've probably dug in hundreds and hundreds of hours into the original games. So there are a few things that feel a little off to me. Mm-hmm. For starters, the spin dash feels slow compared to Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. I don't get as much speed as I used to, as quick. Yeah. But that's fine. It's just that when I do it out of habit, and then it's like half speed, it's like, But
yeah, I've been finding myself, too, I have to remember to hit the A button a little bit faster.
They also hard nerfed Knuckles compared to Sonic 3.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's way slow compared to Sonic now. And he has land lag whenever he glides now. Yep. Which in Battery Zone is a problem because I I was gliding and then I landed right on top of the bomb. So I'm like, all right, just move forward. And there was lag.
Right, and then you get blown up.
So the bomb.
Yeah.
That's dumb. I haven't played as Knuckles yet. I did like playing as Knuckles in Sonic Advance 2, that's for sure.
I think it's harder with Knuckles because some of the levels themselves are easier with Knuckles, but some of the bosses don't feel like they were designed for Knuckles in mind. Yeah. So like the Hydra City boss, you cannot jump high enough to hit him. You have to propel yourself a different way to get there. And then
which one's the Hydra City boss again? I'm trying to remember.
It's the one where you're in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, which one is that?
He has like the turbine that he spins.
Oh yes, that one. That one.
So I beat the game with Knuckles, but the second to last boss in the final zone really just was impossible for him because you have to jump really high to hit the guy.
Yeah. The other hard one for me was Oil Ocean Zone, the octopus, because he doesn't jump as fast as Sonic, and you can't. If you fall off of the platform, you can't get on the platform again until he brings the platform down.
Oh my word! Well, because
you can't jump high enough.
Yeah, jeez.
And if you sit under the platform, then he drags the platform under and insta kills you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I died on that boss a lot.
Yeah, that one's hard. I think that's the hardest boss in the game, to be honest.
Besides the ninja ice guy?
I think he's harder than the ninja guy. The ninja guy's just frustrating.
Well, I guess the Oil Ocean guy did wipe me, and I had to replay the whole stage again. the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Hey, that sounds
Oh.
like my entire gameplay.
Same with me. Game
So-
over after game over.
If you don't mind, I was just gonna say something real quick about how I like David, am quite the novice when it comes to 2D Sonic. I never had a Sega console, and so I never really got into the original Sonic games. But I did, thanks to Skylar, was able to give me the DS version of Sonic 1 and 2, and I was playing through those games. But even then, I could tell like this is on a whole nother level of gameplay. Luckily, they has save states and that, so I was able to at least progress through that. But yeah, I am not the skilled enough gamer to be able to go through a whole campaign without having that save mode. So while it is still frustrating to have to start from the very beginning of the zone, it's a blessing not to have to start the whole game over again. Like, thank
I will
goodness.
say, based on the difficulty, I'm probably going to get a little bit of flack for this. I think Sonic Mania, if we were to include Sonic Mania with like the other retro Sonic games, I think it is the hardest retro style Sonic game.
You think so?
Interesting.
It's the most forgiving. It's the most forgiving. So a lot of people are going to have that confused with difficulty. But for raw difficulty, yeah, I think Sonic Mania is the hardest. The levels are longer. There's a lot more ways to get insta-killed. Like, I've died more
That's true.
times
There are
getting crushed by
insta-kills.
objects in this game than any of the other Sonic games, all the other Sonic games combined.
Yeah.
And the bosses, there's a lot more opportunity for the bosses to get you than they did in the other games. On top of that, there are fewer lives in Sonic Mania than there are in the other games. In Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I'm collecting lives like candy. I'll be at like 30 lives by the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with multiple continues on top of that. And with Sonic Mania, I'm halfway through the game on a speed run, and I'm only at 13 lives.
I've been getting close to double digits in lives.
So it's harder to get lives. I think the only ways to get lives in this game in Sonic Mania are to get 100 rings or to find the boxes. Whereas with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and the other Sonic games, you can get them by having a high enough score in the game. You don't get that nearly as often. Like in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you can get a continue every single level, which is 3 lives worth, and that's gone in Sonic Mania.
Yep.
But to compensate for that, it does have saves, so you don't go all the way back to the beginning of the game. But I do think the level design is harder, and I do think the bosses are harder in Sonic Mania. People aren't going to notice it because it's more forgiving, though.
That makes sense to me.
I think Sonic 1's the hardest, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think
just because Sonic 1 it's just ridiculous. Like
it can be.
It feels old.
It does feel old.
When you play it and you feel it, the difficulty doesn't necessarily come from just the level design. It's from the controls too. In that game.
All right. I'd probably contest that. Maybe Sonic 1 is the hardest, and then Sonic Mania.
Yeah, one of those.
But Sonic 3 and Sonic 2, and even Sonic CD, they're not as hard as Sonic Mania is.
No, Sonic 2 isn't that bad. It's not as Sonic 3.
Well, that's a lot more comforting for me to know that Sonic Mania is a little harder, so it don't feel as bad.
Oh, I have died so many times. I've gotten so many game overs, and I'm only on like the 5th zone.
Which zone is that again? I'm terrible with.
I just finished the airship one, I think.
Okay.
Flying Battery.
Yeah, so I'm on the one after that. I just started it.
I think that's Press Garden.
I think that's
sounds
the garden
right.
one. Yeah.
The one with all the
Yeah.
messed up flowers and things.
Yeah, because I haven't played through that one yet. So
I like that one. But anyway, I love Sonic Mania. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I haven't, or did I say this already? I haven't beaten it. Just because, I mean, come on, it just came out Tuesday. I'm not that good. I'm not even.
Yeah, and just so our listeners know, we are recording this on Wednesday, so we've had the game for just over like 32 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I've only beaten it 4 times.
Yeah. See, if Jordan
Anyway,
only beat
keep
it
going,
4
Tim.
times, then obviously we need more time.
Yeah, I 100%ed it once, and I beat all of the blue sphere stages and all the bonus
Oh my
stages.
word! I can only get 1 Chaos Emerald. It is ridiculous.
They get pretty rough.
Yeah.
The 6th level is what got me. I could not get past that for the longest time.
I can't get past this.
For the Chaos Emeralds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only on the 4th one right now. I've been really prioritizing them.
Yeah, well, if you want the true ending with Sonic, you need them all.
Yeah, I heard about that. I need to get them.
And you can't get them with Knuckles or Tails. It has to be Sonic.
I will say that I think I enjoy. This is a lot of fun, but I think I enjoy 3D Sonic a little more. And that's just I know that's kind of blasphemy among some people, but
It is for me.
yeah, I know it is for Jordan. I'm sorry to offend.
George is cocking his gun right now.
And it's not because of there's no way because of the cheesy dialogue voice acting that's in most Sonic 3D games. No, that's not it. It's I don't know. It's something about being able to, I don't know, roam around or walk around the level freely, but at the same time, there's still a path for you to go. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the intricate level designs of 2D Sonic is phenomenal, but I do like the kind of guidance that 3D Sonic games have had, particularly Sonic Adventure 2. That's definitely my favorite 3D one. Generations is good as well. But I cannot say that I am not having fun with Sonic Mania, even despite me liking 3D more. So that's how good this game is. It got a novice like me to still enjoy it a lot. Not to say 2D Sonic was ever bad. It's just this game is that good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, like I said earlier, I don't have like really that much experience with Sonic at all, not even 3D. And I love this game a lot. I definitely need to play it more, and I'm sure that I'll love it even more as I play it more. But I really do enjoy it, and I think that people that aren't that familiar with the Sonic series should give this game a shot. It's a great starting point, and from here you can jump into some of the older games if you can get access to them somehow. So
there's so many ways to play those games.
It's true. On your phone.
Did I already give my rant about the bosses though? About how they require a little too much waiting, probably.
You actually didn't go into that part, I don't think.
You did mention the bosses, so yeah. Why don't you talk about the bosses?
The bosses for me are kind of a mixed bag. I feel like they kind of kill the pacing of the game a bit. Some of them are great. I think they try a little too hard to make the bosses feel really creative and different than everything else. To the point where some of the bosses on your first playthrough, it's just kind of frustrating because you don't even know what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah, I've had that.
And I don't know. It feels like there's a ton of waiting in between like attacks.
Yeah.
And with the original games, bosses are at all time or nearly all the time vulnerable. You can hit them. And you can hit them multiple times, even in like a section like if you're really daring. Whereas this one, you have to hit them like once or twice, and then they're completely invulnerable for X amount of time. The worst one is probably the ice boss because of this. Because not only do you have to like wait for him to jump so that you can jump at him in mid jump to hit each other, but then his whole shtick is to freeze you, which causes more waiting, and you have to wait for stars to explode. It's just it's a giant waiting fest. You just sit there forever.
Despite how hard that boss was, I really appreciated the fact that they put the Sonic 2 stars as his throwing stars.
That is true.
I thought that was really funny, but I mean, because you don't really see those anywhere else in the game. It was just for that one fight, and I thought that was brilliant. I appreciate the innovation, but like Jordan said, it's kind of a pain to play some of these bosses because you die a lot, and then you have to restart the whole zone.
Yeah. I think the biggest one for me is Metal Sonic. I think that's just like waiting for his minion to come out. Then you have to bounce it off you to try to hit Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic shooting stuff at you at the same time. I don't know, it took me a while to get the timing down, and then being able to actually hit Metal Sonic. it was just a mess, and that's like the first half of the battle. Then you have to go into this actually arguably better part of the boss battle, but still, it was frustrating because there's so much waiting involved.
Yeah, I think Metal Sonic would have been better if they just took out the middle part.
Yeah.
If you just went straight to the end part. My only problem with the end part is that there's some times where he's floating around and can't be hit, and other times that he's floating around and can be hit. Yeah, and so, like, how you're supposed to know? Sometimes the
only way you're supposed to know is after he attacks. After he attacks, then you can.
Well, no, but sometimes after he attacks, sometimes he stops being vulnerable. I've had it happen multiple times. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And on top of this, this is a later boss. I think it's one of the last ones. But there's a boss where he has like pillars where he can like drop them down and punch and everything. I died in the cutscene of them introducing this boss.
No.
What?
Because I did a spin dash to get into the boss room, and it pushed me all the way to the edge of the boss room where the door closes and you can't move. And it's just like, you're dead.
Well,
the pillars.
You know,
what else is that?
That makes me think about just the various glitches it seems that the Switch system is, the Switch version is having with this game.
He probably rushed out the Switch version, which I'm happy for. I think it's in a good enough playable state that it's fine. I'm not too angry about it, but I think that the Switch version just has had less development time than the other versions.
Yeah. I don't hear any problems with the other two versions. The
port was also handled by the people who did the Twilight Princess HD remake.
Oh,
was it?
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Australians?
You can look it up.
Wow.
Oh.
So it was out of studio. They kind of got Nintendo to help them push it through.
Interesting.
I want to figure out if the piranhas are glitched. I've been asking everyone, and everyone seems... Maybe I'm just bad at Sonic, because I've been...
No, what?
I seem to be the only person to have gotten bitten by these piranhas. But when you get bitten by the piranhas in Hydra City on the Switch version, you can't jump anymore. And so there's some areas where you just get stuck sitting there while he's draining away your rings until you die.
I'm just trying to...
I've never been caught by them.
Yeah, don't. They're an insta-kill. And they're a slow insta-kill.
I don't even remember piranhas in Hydro City.
I hope they get a patch out for it. There's only 2 areas in the entire zone that they can get you. Luckily, one of them's like right at the beginning of the zone.
Maybe I just missed it.
I'm just bad enough to get hit by them, I guess.
Well, aside from like there's some sound effect miscues and other minor things, but the biggest issue is the home screen button. How there's a lot of lag between button presses. In fact, sometimes you'll press the home menu button and it doesn't even work. That's something that they really need to fix.
Yeah, I've had a lot of issues with the home button. And there are times when I push the home button and Sonic still runs forward a little bit because I have to pause or whatever, and I'm just used to hitting the home button. And it will go for a second, and then it will snap back to the frame where I pushed the home menu button. And so I think that I'm like back on the frame where I pushed it. And then when I load the game back in, I'm suddenly like 2 seconds past that frame.
Yeah.
It's weird. So...
Yeah,
hope they fix that.
Yeah, that's the lag. It's
right.
I had to get into the habit of pausing the game first before I hit the home button.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
So, are there any other general comments that you guys want to make about Sonic Mania before we end our review?
I have a bit of a brag on the time trial or whatever for the final level. I got the 3rd highest score in the world.
I don't know how you did it.
That's amazing.
It was right after I was complaining about hacks. There's no way anyone got under like 2 minutes or whatever.
And you get under 2
level
minutes.
Was and then so I went to try it out, and in the process of me doing it, I found a shortcut.
Amazing.
Where's the shortcut at?
So there's a ton of different routes you can take, and one of the routes just like takes you straight to the end. So if you go to the part where there's like the 4 splits, right?
Yeah.
Go to the lower left one, and then always, and I think you end up in this giant area or whatever, and you have to do this whole extra level sort of thing. The last area or whatever, it tries to signify that you should go left, but if you actually launch yourself to the right, you can just barely reach another one of those orbs and will suck you into its gravitational pull. And then you can use that to launch further right, and there's the goalpost.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's way off screen.
Hacks. I was kidding.
And you even have to fly through a wall, I think.
That would be sweet.
So now everyone knows my secret. I think my score's actually been toppled. I'm down to 8th now, but when I did it, I got 3rd place.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty good. Well done.
Well done, Jordan. Well done.
Jordan, you're just so much better at Sonic than I am. I'm I'm a little blown away. Anyway, I think we can go ahead and give the scores at this point of the audio review. I haven't played quite enough to give like a full-blown score, but with what I have played and what I've seen played and all this stuff, I'm leaning towards a 9 out of 10, which is an excellent game. What about you guys?
I'm going to say 9.5.
Wow, that might be your highest score in a long time.
Yeah. I was thinking 10, but I don't know. Maybe I would say 10. It's really close. I'm kind of waffling between the two. When I get my written review up, I don't think it'll be a 10 though, just because of the way we have the review system set up for the website. But yeah, I think my only big problem really is the bosses kind of kill the flow of the game. But that's just for me personally. Other people I know, like Arlo on YouTube, they enjoy that puzzle aspect and kind of things slowing down. So I think it's just going to be kind of like a personal taste sort of thing, kind of bringing it down. So probably a 10. I'm actually going to go with 10 actually.
Wow.
Awesome.
They did a good job.
Masterpiece. How about you, Skylar?
So I give the game about a 9.4. Some of the bosses are just incredibly frustrating for me personally. Just getting killed by them and having to restart the whole thing. It was really infuriating. Like at Oil Ocean, which was originally actually one of my least favorite zones in Sonic 3. Or Sonic 2, I think, actually.
Sonic 2, yeah. I think 2. I'm the only person in the world that liked Oil Ocean in Sonic 2.
I hate that zone. They did it better in Mania, to be honest. I think it's a lot better.
I enjoyed it.
But I hated that. So to keep I probably replayed it twice through, just because of that stupid octopus boss at the end with Knuckles in my first playthrough. Complete nightmare. I hate that boss with a passion. And the Ice Ninja boss was a pain in the butt. It was terrible. So I give it a 9.4. The only thing really holding it back is the bosses. The level design is superb. It's so good.
Cool. How about you, James?
I give it a 9, for sure. I like I said, I haven't beaten it, but what I played, it's amazing level design. Why not a 10? I think it's purely, the score is purely based on what I enjoy as a gamer, and I don't enjoy dying a lot. which come on, I mean, I'm not terrible at all kinds of games.
Right.
So I feel like even though it takes you back to the beginning of the zone instead of the beginning of the game, which is great, I just think there's too much punishment and not enough reward for dying at the final boss of that zone, and also not enough, like Jordan was saying, not a whole lot of lives or chances to get lives. And to be honest, a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm not extremely good at collecting rings, I guess. I mean, I collect rings, but I keep getting hit. I heard it. Rise of freaking. But anyway, but I still am having a ton of fun with the game, so that's why it still gets an amazing score.
So that's a 9 from me, a 10 from Jordan, a 9.4 from Skylar, and a 9 from James. If we average that out, it's a 9.35, which is a fantastic game, and we definitely recommend it to you. So thanks for listening to our Sonic Mania audio review. Hey everybody, it's your friend David coming at you with a commercial break. Again, we still aren't sponsored by anybody this week, so it's not much of a commercial as much as a bunch of reminders. The first reminder is I want you to check out our website at nintensity.com, where you can check out some reviews, some news, and a lot more about the Nintendo world. We're really striving to create an open community where every opinion is valid. You can comment on our articles, you can read them, you can share them with your friends, of course, and if you want to write something for us, head over to our contact page and send us an email. We'd be happy to consider your article and maybe even let you join the team if you wanted to cover news or write opinions on a regular basis. I'd also invite you to check out our Twitter page at twitter.com/Nintensity or at Nintensity, depending on your method of finding people on Twitter, because we're just, having a good old time on Twitter. We've been posting all of our news, we've been posting our editorials, and I've been trying to post some cool fan art and stuff that comes from our Tumblr account to showcase some cool fan art. You can also check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/Nintensity or just by searching Nintensity. We're also posting all of that same stuff there, except for maybe the fan art, but we're also looking for people that could post some cool images and such to our Facebook page. If you're interested, send us an email and let us know. You can go to nintensity.com/contact for more information on how to contact us. Another reminder is to check out our Discord, which you can find by going to nintendo.city/discord. While there, you can join us in some really fun discussions. Our community isn't that active yet, but you could be a big help in helping us build the community and get things going. Again, that's nintendo.city/discord. I have to do this every week because it's one of the ways that we keep our show going, and that's by asking you to visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/Nintensity. We've got a lot of things planned for the next few weeks and months with the website and all of the different things that we're doing. So head on over to our Patreon and we'll demo some of that stuff and give you some early access to quite a few things. As a reward, for sure, every week these podcast episodes go up early, sometime on Friday or Saturday before the episode releases on Monday to the general public. Of course, we're not going to stop releasing our episodes through the regular means of distribution, but if you want to help support us and listen to these episodes early, you can do that through our Patreon. Again, you can visit our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/Nintensity. That's all I've got this week. Thanks so much for listening. Your support really means a lot. We don't pay for any advertising for this podcast yet because we're still trying to cover all of our server fees and all of that other wonderful stuff. So any support that you can send us would be fantastic. And another good way to support us is by sharing the show with your friends, whether it be through word of mouth or through your social media. You can use the hashtag virtualcast to share this show with your friends and share some of the show notes or some of your favorite episodes. We'd definitely appreciate that. Thanks so much for everything you do, and I'll let you get back to episode 64 of the Virtual Boys Podcast 64, as I called it earlier. Anyway, thanks. Now, since this is episode 64 of our podcast, I think I dubbed it the Virtual Boys Podcast 64 at the beginning, just for fun. We thought it'd be cool to talk about the Nintendo 64. And as part of that, we'd like to focus our discussion on the inevitable, maybe, we don't know for sure, Nintendo 64 Mini. So we were thinking, how many games would end up being on the system?
I'm sorry, now I'm just picturing the Virtual Boy fused with the Nintendo 64 and what kind of eyesore that would be.
Just stare into the N64.
Ocarina of Time in 3D. Virtual Boy.
Wait, we have
with that little stand.
I said man. Virtual Boy, not.
Oh man, all you see is red and black Ocarina of Time.
Exactly.
Oh no.
Ew.
That game went from a perfect 10 and best game of all time to possibly the worst game of all time.
Mario 64 in black and red. Or red and black, I guess.
Okay, so how many games do you think would be on the system? I mean, with SNES games costing about $8 on the Wii U eShop and the N64 games costing about $10 on the Wii U eShop, I'm thinking that there would definitely be fewer N64 games on the N64 Mini than the SNES games on the SNES Mini. How many did we think would be on there again? We were talking about this before we recorded.
About 15.
Yeah, 15, 16. I say
Yeah, as a programmer, I would hope it's 16 because that's a fourth of a 64.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good number, 16, based on the previous classic editions. You got NES and SNES. The NES had 30 something, and then it went down to SNES 20 something. So. I imagine there'll be, around 10 fewer games than there was. Maybe not. Maybe more like 6 fewer games than there was on the SNES Classic for this N64 Classic. But that's just because of the size and the scale of these games compared to the other ones.
Right, absolutely. So, before we recorded, the four of us came up with a list of games that we're pretty darn sure are going to be on the Nintendo 64 Mini. I think I'll just read down the list, and then we can discuss a few of the games individually after I read the list. So, the list goes Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Donkey Kong 64, one of the Mario parties, either 1, 2, or 3, Yoshi's Story, Paper Mario, Super Smash Bros., Animal Crossing, at least in Japan, and the Star Fox 64. Those are the games that we see definitely coming to the Nintendo 64 Mini. Are there any of these that we want to talk about?
So
the big three are definitely Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, and Smash Bros.
Yes.
There's no way those aren't being on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd argue Mario Kart 64 too. I don't think there's a chance they're going to take that out either.
Yeah, I think Mario Kart 64 and Star Fox 64 are the tier 2 ones.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And out of the Mario parties, I think they put 2 in.
Oh, I was thinking the same thing. That's the best
same.
one.
So,
Yeah,
I think 3 is the best, but
Really?
I think 1's the best personally, but I mean,
really, you
Why
like
would you say
blisters on your
2?
thumb?
I love 1 so much just because I played so much Mario Party 1 when I was little. It's nostalgia purely, but 2 is better. But I really love Mario Party 1. We got Hexagon. Yeah. They changed it to Hexagon Heat, but you have the mushroom mix-up game and the bumper balls, man. Oh, man. So good. Hitting people with hammers.
I didn't get to play Mario Party much when the N64 was popular, but I did play it quite a bit afterwards, and I love those games.
I was
Two's my favorite.
Obsessed with Mario Party when the N64 was out that I made my own paper version of Mario Party.
You did that too?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. George, you did that too?
Yeah.
I did the same thing.
My friends and I made up a bunch of athletic mini games or something to play.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
I made my own paper version of Super Smash Brothers too.
Oh.
Yeah.
I drew all the items out and everything just because I didn't own the game. I could only play at my friend's house. My mom's like, Super Smash Brothers is of the devil. You're beating your brothers. Blah blah blah. I was like, it's rated E.
Yeah, I'd play Super Smash Brothers with a friend that lived down the street. I would hop on my scooter, run over to his house, and be like, "Can we play Smash, please?" And oftentimes they say yes, and it was a lot of fun. And that's how I got into Smash Brothers.
I honestly never played Smash Bros until Melee. I didn't even know the N64 existed.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I can't stand the 64 Smash Bros.
Really?
Yeah, it just feels too janky with the controls.
See, that's
it
how
is
I
really
felt.
janky.
That's how I felt.
I'm too
about
used
Melee.
to modern Smash Bros, and then I just get frustrated that I can't do what I can do in later Smash Bros.
Yeah, that can happen.
I understand that.
I actually wanted to go back and play the original when Melee came out. I was like, the sound effects are not as cool. And all this stuff.
That's true. The sound effects in Smash Brothers were just kind of like looking back on them, they just kind of feel out of place, or just like I don't know what it is. Like maybe like they went to like popular or public domain and just kind of took sound files and put them into the game.
They feel like comic book sounds. Like you hear like pows and whams and like thwacks and junk. I love that crap so much.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. Oh, yeah. I love reminiscing about the N64.
Yeah, I mean, same as me. I mean, I played Super Smash Brothers at a friend's house. I always got my butt kicked because I didn't own the game, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I just DK Spike for days, baby.
Oh man. For me, it was before that I knew what to do against spammers. So my friends would just like spam Kirby's moves and
the rocks.
Yeah, and my other friend played as Samus. So and I don't know. I was just captivated by Samus to not be able to do anything. I don't know what it was, but my Link couldn't handle it. I
still thought Samus was a man at that time.
No,
I don't know what I.
Metroid's my favorite Smash Bros. Character. He's an awesome robot.
He's such a great robot.
Beautiful. I mean,
Metroid
manly
battles. Such a manly Metroid.
Yeah, but I think the list that we have right here is pretty good. I don't think you could really argue against any of these.
I think the questionable one is Animal Crossing, even for Japan.
Oh yeah, that's
I did want to mention Animal Crossing. We did put that on the list because it was such a popular game in Japan, but
it got ported to GameCube.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's big. It's one of Nintendo's biggest IPs. So maybe. I also have a hard time believing that DK64 is a for sure prediction, considering reception is kind of mixed for that game.
Yeah, but they did work really hard to get it on the Wii U eShop.
Yeah.
And Nintendo now has full rights to that game. So
they always did. It was never in question. It's
really?
Just that the problem was that it was a N64 game that used the extra pack.
Oh, that's right. But
and
they've never had a problem with Majora's Mask, which also requires
Well, that's because Majora's Mask are I don't know. The Majora's Mask port is kind of bad though.
Oh,
if
well,
you press
all the
pause,
GameCube
then
ones,
the frame rate dies when you
the
press
GameCube
pause.
port is awful too. On people have had so many issues. The GameCube version of Majora's Mask is probably the glitchiest out of all of them, just because it's not emulated well on the GameCube. Anyway, but I do think Animal Crossing is a possibility, at least in Japan, because it was such a big game for the N64 in Japan. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that the original Animal Crossing was released originally on the N64 and then ported to the GameCube, which is funny because it was ported to the GameCube in America before it was in Japan. But anyway, I don't think Animal Crossing will make it to the US version of the N64 Mini, but I do think it's a strong possibility for Japan.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They might. I don't know. It's a possibility because Animal Crossing here in America is also really big. So they might try to use that as a marketing tool.
Right, but I don't think they have a localized version of the N64 version of the game.
Isn't it just the same thing as the GameCube one?
No, they added quite a bit more furniture and dialogue and.
Well, yeah, but they could just cut the extra dialogue.
I guess
they could just use the same script.
Yeah. So maybe. I don't know. Should I read through the list one more time so that our listeners know what we put down? Or
yeah.
Okay. I'll go through it again. We've got Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Donkey Kong 64, Mario Party, probably 2 or 3, Yoshi's Story, Paper Mario, Super Smash Brothers, Animal Crossing, and Star Fox 64. And we talked about some of those games, but now that's only 12 games, and we said there'd be 15 to 16. So there are a couple of games that we think aren't for sure going to be on the N64 Classic Mini, but that could be, that we would like to see at least. I'll start with my first game, and that's Pokemon Puzzle League. I am a huge fan of this game, and I don't really have a reason why, other than it was up at our cabin and I played it all the time. The speedrunning community is actually growing with Pokemon Puzzle League, which is kind of crazy how they can speedrun a puzzle game like that. I mean, I guess you can speedrun Tetris too, but I think that it's a fun choice, especially since it's more of a puzzle game for relaxing and stuff, and it isn't really an adventure like many of the other games that we have. I don't know. Have you guys really played much of Puzzle League at all?
Very little.
I played a little bit, not enough to have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta have them low quality those low quality sound bits from the real enemy, you know.
Wow, Pikachu!
Yeah. Here we go!
Thunder Smash!
Anyway, so
I mean, I'd be surprised if it came on there, but if you look on the list, we really don't have a puzzle game on here. So, maybe that would fill the kind of gap in this list. So,
I think it's just such an obscure game.
yeah,
It's possible. But
I'm not sure how popular it is. I think there's a few other games I can think of that I may want before this one, but it is nice to see a puzzle game on there.
I would love to see it. Well, let's do the other two games that I have down, and that's Wave Race 64 and Pilot Wings 64. These two games I don't think are as popular as any of the games on our other list, but they were made in-house by Nintendo, or at least Nintendo published them. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty important to Nintendo's history. I mean, I've played a lot of Wave Race 64, not a whole lot of Pilot Wings, but Pilot Wings came back on the 3DS a few years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nintendo seems to love Pilot Wings still.
Pilot Wings
They
was
even
a
made
lot
it
of
to
fun.
Smash Bros.
Yeah. Pilot Wings on the 3DS was a blast. I had a lot of fun with that. They were both launch titles, right? Wave Race and Pilot Wings, along with
I think
that
so.
I don't know.
So if they are launch titles, I could see them being on there just from being the sheer fact of history. But
let's see. So Wave Race 64 came out September 27th, 1996, and the N64 was released in June 1996. So it was a release window game. It wasn't necessarily a launch title. But I mean,
What about
thing.
Pilot Wings?
Let me pull that up. Pilot Wings came out on June 23rd, 1996. That is a release title.
Okay.
Yes.
yeah, okay.
That was a launch title.
Well, came out relatively early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't played either of these games, but I did own Wave Race Blue Storm, and I played that quite a bit. And I really liked Wave Race Blue Storm. So for me personally, it'd be fun to see them add that game. I just don't know how much of a demand there is for the. And it's not like Nintendo's looking at demand per se, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I think Pilot Wings and Wave Race actually have a really good shot.
okay.
Yeah.
I think they do too.
I think they're just really important to what N64 is as a whole.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I agree.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'd vote Wave Race
Well-
if we had to choose between the two. That's just me.
Yeah, I
could
would
see Pilot
too.
Wings
I
being
choose-
the most likely.
I choose Pilot Wings too.
Yeah, I'd see Pilot Wings being more likely, but I personally would choose Wave Race. But anyway,
I think they both have a really good shot, though.
yeah.
Cool.
This is all like in theory if this sort of system would exist.
Right, we're not saying we have insider information in any way, shape, or form. We're just kind of guessing and speculating. So
It's
We're
for
just
funsies.
having fun because it's
it's our 64th episode. We got to have fun. So, Jordan, why don't you talk about the games that you'd like to?
All right. Well, talking about obscure games, here I was mocking David for obscureness with Puzzle League. Pokemon Snap. About probably a bit more obscure, actually.
You think so?
It has a cult following. I mean, people love it. It's just that it's the people that grew up in the '90s that love it. I don't know how
Fair point.
How easy it is to like translate to people who didn't grow up with it. But I love Pokemon Snap. The game is a lot of fun.
Wonderful.
It's a really interesting take. I think it's the best 3D Pokemon game. Fight me.
Pokemon Battle Revolution, George, any day.
Oh,
No, don't you mean? What was it? The one that was like WiiWare or something that they were like on a farm.
No, I'm talking.
I guess-
I'm talking Battle Revolution.
I guess technically X, Y, and Sun and Moon are now 3D games, so I guess I can't say that anymore.
You mean console Pokemon game?
Yeah.
yeah, like Hey You
Okay.
Pikachu.
For now, until
Hey, it doesn't
like,
beat Hey You
next year.
Pikachu.
Oh no! Please no.
We will not talk about Hey You Pikachu here. They're gonna include
Anyway.
a microphone in this N64 box. You play some Hey You Pikachu.
Pokemon Snap is just a really interesting way to, one, bring in a rail shooter into Nintendo's arsenal. I mean, we have Star Fox, but this kind of gives us a less violent rail shooter, which is a lot of fun.
A lot less violent. Well, yeah.
I don't know. You still throw rocks at things.
You throw apples at people's faces and shit.
An unlimited amount. Yeah.
Throwing Charmeleon into the lava.
I don't know. I would love to get a sequel to this game. I would love for it to be remembered in a Nintendo 64 Arsenal sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I just want to hear more of Professor Oak saying, "Wonderful."
Or you were close.
You were close.
I got this game for my birthday because I asked for a Pokemon game. And I wasn't disappointed, actually. I really enjoyed it.
But were you surprised?
I was surprised for sure because, well, I had Blue already, and I don't know. This came out, and I didn't know about it, and my parents bought it, and they don't necessarily know video games very well or what to buy. So
Did it come with a camera? I never got the or the printer. Or
yes,
something.
I got a camera with it, like a Pikachu camera.
Wow.
Then I had to wind
I
it
think-
with film.
The
I
90s
think
were
you
so
could-
cool.
Couldn't you print out the pictures if you took something to Toys R Us?
It's to Blockbuster. If you take the
Blockbuster.
cartridge to Blockbuster, you can print off your pictures by plugging the cartridge into the picture dispenser.
Man, I need to go
Yeah.
to Blockbuster.
Yeah, you're right. I just looked that up. So
You get your first one free, and then everything after that was wicked expensive.
All right, I'm searching for the nearest Blockbuster. Let's see if they'll take my. Blockbuster's dead.
please take my cartridge, please.
But yeah, they advertised the crap out of that. for the
Apparently,
game.
I
And
heard
you
there's
literally have
actually
to take
like
the entire cartridge in.
I heard there's actually like 3 or 4 stores that are still open. Nowhere where you guys are, but
Just
I
like
don't know.
sitting in the middle of nowhere, maybe
Yeah,
like Florida or
exactly.
something, just chilling.
Old people
Yeah.
town. All right. Anyway,
sorry,
so
keep going.
I don't think these are possible at all. This next category I'm going to bring up, but it would feel kind of out of place for a Nintendo 64 Classic to exist without these, and that is the Rareware games,
Yeah.
which is kind of like half the fun of the N64 library because you got Banjo, Banjo-Tooie, Conkers,
Jet Force
Gemini,
Yep.
and Perfect,
Perfect
Dark,
Dark.
and I believe Killer Instinct was on the
Killer Instinct.
N64.
Thought
Yeah.
so.
And Diddy Kong Racing.
And Diddy Kong Racing, right? Definitely that one too. And these games felt like they were part of Nintendo's identity at the time.
Oh yes, absolutely. They still feel like Nintendo's identity to me, at least a little bit.
Yeah, they were so heavily like so close to what Nintendo is. It kind of feels weird to separate them from Nintendo. Obviously, my favorite ones would be Conkers or Banjo. I don't think Conkers can make it because it's rated M.
Yeah.
But
Everybody needs to play this game.
and there's no way. I don't think Nintendo could get Rareware to give the rights for Banjo for this thing. You never know. I mean, they allowed Rareware to make Diddy Kong Racing for the DS, so it is a possibility if Microsoft doesn't see it as a direct competition. But I think it's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Maybe Diddy Kong for. Maybe we could see Diddy Kong, but I don't know about
They'd have
the
to
actual
take out
Rareware IP.
Banjo and Conquer.
Maybe. They might be able to swing things with Microsoft. I don't know.
Maybe. Because they had to take them out for their port.
Well, yeah,
It's kind of
it's just I think
sad
this
to
is,
see that Banjo
like you said,
isn't
gonna just
in
depend a lot
Nintendo's
on what
arsenal anymore.
Microsoft.
But I think that Rareware was an important enough piece of Nintendo during that era. It'd feel really weird not having a I don't know,
Now,
a collector's item about that era.
I agree with
without
that. But we have this list of 14 games already in a system that we would probably suspect only have 15 or 16 games. So would you think there would be some replacement here, or would 2 of these important rare games take the last 2 slots? If
I
it
think
could be a
that
possibility.
Rareware would at least need 2 for it to feel like a true Nintendo or N64 classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it feels like it has been crippled.
Yeah, I agree with Jordan on that
Does
one.
Donkey
I
Kong
really
64
do.
count?
No.
No. Okay.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of. Sure.
So
They
but
did make it.
they did make it, but
I do believe Banjo needs to get on there at least. And then
At least the first one.
Here's another one that's kind of like up in the air. 007, because it was made by Rareware, but the rights are owned by Activision. But Nintendo hasn't been able to get Virtual Console rights for 007 yet. But 007 was as important to Nintendo's 64's success as Smash Bros. Was, arguably.
I would agree. I mean, you had people buying the N64 for 007 just for the sheer fun of it, playing together with friends.
Yeah, and Activision even made a kind of a remake. It wasn't really a remake. It was basically a reimagining of 007 as a Call of Duty
Wasn't it the Wii version?
Yeah, 007 on the Wii.
It was.
I thought of
it was a timed exclusive for the Wii. It was fun. I actually really enjoyed it. If you want a janky Wii Call of Duty-esque game, then that's one to go for.
Motion controls?
Yeah, it has motion controls for aiming.
It also came with a golden Wii Control Plus or whatever it's called.
Oh, really?
The little controller thing.
So did you have to use
007?
Sorry.
007 is just extremely important, not only for like Nintendo's history, but also first-person shooters on consoles in general.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it paved the way for Turok and Quake to come to N64, which later on arguably put Microsoft wanting Halo onto Xbox.
True.
Because Halo was heavily influenced by Quake, but Quake had a PC version, and that did phenomenal and had a lot of its own rights. I'm just saying, like, for the console space.
Yeah.
For first-person shooters. Those are my games for the N64 Classic. I don't think any of them will make it if there were to be an N64. I think the one that would be the most likely to make it is 007, the ones I said.
Makes sense.
I would love Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, Pokemon Snap would be really phenomenal. But for some reason, like, it doesn't seem the Pokemon Company is that made by the Pokemon Company?
It was developed by HAL.
HAL, yeah.
Interesting. So I wonder who would take that. Maybe
for the Wii U or the Wii version of it, you could take the pictures of the Pokemon and it would save to your console.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would send it to the Wii message board.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a virtual console version of it.
Yeah, they did. It was a lot of fun. I got it for free back when Club Nintendo was actually a thing.
Cool. Well, Skylar, what are the games that you want to appear on the N64? Your favorites that could make the cut?
Well, since most of them are already in the list, I think Bomberman 64 would be great. Just from the sheer factor, that is my favorite multiplayer Bomberman game. Hands down. I'll play that 10 times over any of the other ones. Just because you're in a 3D environment, the bombs can grow huge, you can create gigantic blast radiuses, corner people, throw people off cliff. It's so much fun. It was like the ultimate battle mode for Bomberman. And the story's okay. It's not too shabby. It was a decent single-player mode. I don't know if any of you guys have played Bomberman 64. But
I have a little bit. Not a whole lot.
I get it confused with the other one that was on the N64.
Bomberman Heroes, or Hero or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's not as good because it doesn't have multiplayer. And then my other game was F-Zero X, just because gotta have my Captain Falcon, gotta have some F-Zero. And if it was F-Zero X, it'd be my dream if they put the one with the N64 DD drive or whatever it was called, the add-on, where you could make your own F-Zero X stages. And
that'd be sweet.
And then play through all of those stages as well. Because not a lot of people got to play that, and that would be a lot of fun just to mess around with.
That would be cool. I haven't played nearly enough F-Zero, but I think that would be a fun addition as well. Yeah. Another good racing game, since we've only got Mario Kart 64 and maybe Diddy Kong Racing if that happens.
Yeah. They seem to like to throw up the old F-Zero games on their services anyway.
Yeah,
they do it with the Super Nintendo, and they've put F-Zero X has been on there for a very long time on the Wii U and the WiiWare shop. So
yeah, now that I think about it, maybe I wouldn't be too surprised if that was on there, but only if they didn't put the rare games.
How about you, James? What are your games? That rhymed.
Yeah, I know. My name rhymes with. There's like some Facebook page called James and Games or something like that. I was like, oh. I wish I would have taken that. But Anyway, Durgar, that's a kind of cool name. Like I love everything that's been mentioned, so I'll just mention a couple that I think would also make a nice addition. Pokemon Stadium.
If there's a Pokemon game, I think Pokemon Stadium would be the one picked. That or Pokemon Stadium 2, probably the first one.
I think the first one, although I don't remember Pokemon Stadium 2 having any problems. I think it was still pretty good, but they'd probably go with the first one.
I miss my Game Boy game support.
Yeah, but it was still a fun game without it. Honestly, I think I had more fun with Pokemon Coliseum, the GameCube game.
Yeah.
But that's because there was actual story behind that and everything. But
gotta fight that surfing golem, man.
Yeah, surfing
Pokemon Stadium, surfing golems and Mewtwo's that are so fast they instantly one-shot you before you get anything off.
Ah, the good old days. No, but I don't know. I think that'd be a good addition. Between Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium, I don't know. I think they would probably go Pokemon Stadium just because it's the somewhat traditional style of Pokemon game. So
yeah.
But either would be really great. And the last one I'll mention is Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, baby.
Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, one, it would help with selling the game even more. If it was hard to sell before, I don't think that'd be the case. But Star Wars hype is relatively high nowadays, so having anything Star Wars related can only help you, really. And it was a fun game, although I think the GameCube version was better. I mean, they're not the same game, but or at least I don't think they're the same game. Are they the same game? They're not the same game.
No, they're different numbers.
Yeah, so I played more of the GameCube version, but I do remember playing the N64 version as well at a friend's house. So it'd be fun to have that Star Wars representation there too.
Yeah, they got to keep all those secret codes and cheat codes and stuff in the game too.
Yeah.
Well, sure. That actually be pretty accurate to the whole experience. So yeah, I agree.
Gotta be like a TIE fighter or a little whatever.
Yeah, that actually be pretty fun.
I love Rogue Squadron. We had this one up at my cabin and I play it all the time. I was never really that good at it, but it was a lot of fun.
So David, I have to ask. I'm sorry, it's gonna sound like a jerk. I have to ask. If you play Rogue Squadron all the time, and you also play Wave Race all the time, but you also play Super Mario 64 and Puzzle League all the time, how much time do you have?
I can play multiple games at once. We had like 10 N64s in my cabin, okay?
Yeah, 10 N64s?
No. Yes. No.
10 TVs?
10 TVs, and I would just like rotate around. I would sit in a spinny chair and just like spin around playing each of the games. No. I'm just teasing. No, I when I say I play it all the time, it's a Nintendo 64 game that I played a lot. Okay, I like to exaggerate.
No. Fair enough. I didn't mean to sound like a jerk. I thought it was just kind of funny.
No. I didn't get it. It didn't come across as sounding like a jerk. It was pretty funny. So, well, cool. I think that's it for our Nintendo 64 Classic Mini, however they call them now. It's different in each region. Any other final thoughts on this potential console before we end the episode?
My final thoughts is I hope Nintendo never makes this because I think it'll have negative repercussions for having Virtual Console on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
I don't like these minis.
I don't think they've made any minis at all. I don't think you guys know.
Oh yeah,
whatever these are called.
those don't exist. They don't exist.
They don't exist, George. I mean, there's going to be Virtual Console on Switch because they just don't exist, man. I've never seen
classic. Me neither.
I've never seen any as classic. I waited in line, didn't see anyone. I didn't see him.
Yeah,
it's fake just to get you in the store.
I think the next, if there's going to be a next version, I think that it'll be the Game Boy Classic Edition, but they may combine them to have Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. Kind of.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if they would go for a Game Boy Advance style or a Game Boy Advance SP. But anyway,
I think that's what makes more sense to do Game Boy Advance than anything else for the next one because then they don't have to upgrade their specs very much from what they currently have for the Super Nintendo Classic.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
then they can put on Mother 3 like they did with Star Fox 2.
Yes, that'd be fantastic.
No,
They have to
no.
translate it first.
They could take the fan translation, or at least
They're
a chunk
not
of
going to.
But I don't want this to happen. I want it on Switch.
it. Yeah, good point.
Right.
Well,
good point.
but here's the thing: the whatever classic edition they do next, we know at least won't happen for another year. So, or it's a pretty safe assumption, right? So,
Yeah,
by that point, don't you think that because Reggie has said that they're gonna do something with their legacy collection, as he calls it. So, whatever that is, who knows? But
My guess is this time next year we'll only have NES and Super Nintendo games on the Virtual Console and the Switch. I think they're going to slow roll them all out. Especially since they've only mentioned NES and Super Nintendo for the bonuses for the paid online.
yeah.
Maybe they'll reserve those for paid online and then have N64 for download only.
I don't know.
now here's a thought: what if one of the reasons that they're holding back on Virtual Console, besides getting their online figured out, is they don't want to detract from the sales of the classic editions, even though they
That's what I'm afraid of.
right. And so, but once they do roll out the Virtual Console,
The Virtual Console.
then they won't have that worry anymore. Then their main focus for these classic editions will be the people who don't own the Switch, which I think was they're going to be their goal anyway, was for people who don't own their home consoles. But then they realized that, oh wow, these are selling a lot. These are selling really well. Maybe we should.
It's cheap.
See,
It's basically free money for Nintendo to make these classic editions.
Either way,
unfortunately.
they're going to sell all of them, and it doesn't matter what they do at the end of the day.
Yeah, they'll sell all of them. I'm just wondering if that could be a reason why they're holding off. I mean, that'd be kind of not my favorite solution or choice that they've made, but maybe it's a business thing. But I definitely think they'll have the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Classic Edition before an N64 one.
Yeah, I just hope the SNES Classic is the last one. Maybe they'll do a Virtual Boy Classic.
Oh, yes, it's actually
Absolutely.
so
They'll
it's
put all
actually
the
like a
games on it.
keychain, and it's just the goggles, so you can carry it around with you. And if you want to play the Virtual Boy, you just whip out your goggles, and the buttons on the top are on top of the goggles, so you just hold it close to your face and play.
Oh my!
Okay, guys, let's make a list real quick for the 14 games we think will be
We
on the
don't
Virtual
need
Boy.
to. Super Smash Bros. Brawl already made a perfect list for us. they put every single game on that list. So shoot.
Jordan, you said you hope they stop with the classic editions. I'm gonna say I hope they at least go to the Game Boy one. I personally think that'd be awesome to have a huge collection of all these Game Boy Advance games. And
That'd be really interesting, especially because how do you get Pokemon to work on
Yes.
that?
They're not putting Pokemon on it.
no, I
You don't
think
think so?
I think they would. I think it'd be foolish not to.
How do you do it though?
I mean,
How do you do trading? That's a huge part of it. That's why Pokemon didn't have Virtual Console for the longest time.
that's true. Trading.
Can you even trade on the
trading
Virtual Console?
Trading would be an issue, but maybe they would just not. You can't complete the game with the
Okay.
classic edition. Is that?
I just think Nintendo would be like, you want our high-end Game Boy games? Buy our big boy console.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, these are. I think the main focus audience here is the people who used to play these as a kid. So they're maybe not going to be the ones who are going to try to catch all the Pokemon.
I wonder how many of these people actually end up with these classic editions.
That's also true. I mean, who knows? Although,
I mean, you spend $300 on a Switch or $400 on a NES Classic.
well, yeah. I mean, now for sure.
Yeah,
So
that's the problem.
I see what you're saying with the saving thing, but I don't know. I think it'd be hard not to have Pokemon on there. But anyway,
we'll see what Nintendo does with the SNES or not. Man, I just want to say SNES, the Classic Edition consoles. Whether or not they continue making them, we'll definitely keep you guys in the know. So, friends, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. We'd like to thank you for joining us this episode. Your support means a ton to us.
I'd like to give a shout out to Skylar, our co-host, for composing our intro and outro music. And he's a very talented dude. You can check out his SoundCloud at soundcloud.com at Skytar, and the S is a 5 because he's cool like that. And
speak leet.
And yeah, I mean, I recommend checking out his Dr. Mario theme. If you like classic game music, it's probably one of my favorites of his.
And I'd like to shout out to our patrons, Chris and Chase. Your support means a ton. If you want to go join them, go to patreon.com/Nintendcity. Remember, the episodes go up early as reward for those that support us.
I'd like to invite you also to join our Discord community. We're trying to set up a fun place for people to visit and hang out. Head to nintendo.city/Discord to join us today.
And thanks for tuning in to the Virtual Boys podcast this week. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. We'd also like to remind you to check out our website at nintendcity.com, where you can find news, show notes, and more. This week's show notes are at nintendo.city/EP64. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Join the Nintendo Fun Club today, Mac.
See ya.
Goodbye, you good people.